So let's talk apportionment. In another video, we went through how the doctor finds whole person impairment, and that gets rated out based on age and occupation to the final level of permanent disability. But what that number also happens to do, it gets adjusted by the amount of apportionment that the doctor finds. So apportionment, the bottom line, is it can reduce the amount that you recover. It's not going to increase it. It's going to take that total level of permanent disability that the doctor found and reduce it to determine essentially what amount of the total permanent disability you have right now was caused by this injury. So let's break this down a little bit. Probably 20 years ago, apportionment was very difficult to find, but the law changed, and there's now two apportionment statutes. There's Labor Code Section 4663, and there's Labor Code Section 4664. So the easier one first. We'll go through Labor Code Section 4664. Basically, it's presumed that if you had an old injury and a permanent partial disability award, that still exists. So let's say by chance you had a low back injury 5 years ago, the doctor found, and it rated out 5% permanent partial disability. If you now have another low back injury, Labor Code Section 4664 says it's presumed that the permanent disability still exists. So that 5% that you were awarded 5 years ago is going to get deducted from whatever the doctor finds this time. So let's say the doctor now finds a level of whole person impairment. It rates out. The doctor finds that, let's say, it's 8% permanent partial disability. It's going to be presumed that that 5% from the old award is still there. So you're likely going to be looking at about 3% permanent disability for this injury. Now, the tougher one, the grayer statute, the one that everybody in the legal profession seems to fight over, is Labor Code Section 4663. That one says that a doctor needs to address in his or her report the amount of permanent partial disability or the amount of permanent disability that was due to this injury, as well as any permanent disability due to prior factors, prior injuries, and subsequent factors. This is where it really starts to get messy. So let's say you had a car accident 20 years ago, your low back never got better, and now you had a low back injury at work. The doctor may find that 20% of your current permanent partial disability is due to that old car accident. Or let's say you injured your low back at work. You never had any low back injuries before, but then 8 months after you got injured, your dog tripped you at home and you fell down and injured your back and made it even worse. The doctor's going to address your total level of permanent partial disability, but the doctor may find that 15% or 25% is due to that new injury that happened after the subsequent injury. So the idea with all of it is that the doctor should be finding for the court, for the judge to determine when he or she looks at the final stipulations or the compromise and release, what amount of what's going on right now, the permanent disability, is due to this injury, what amount is due to old injuries or pre-existing conditions, what amount is due to new injuries. The reason I say it's gray, it's very nebulous. The doctor is going to assign 15%, 43%, 62%. It's up to the doctor, and the doctor needs to explain how that is correct within some degree of reasonable medical probability, and it's tough for the doctor to do. And not only does it pertain to old injuries, but it can pertain to conditions as well. Let's say you already had a pre-existing condition to your back that you've had all of your life, that's always had you with some degree of back pain, and then you get hurt at work. The doctor may apportion some of your current disability to that pre-existing condition. It's a very gray area of the law. Keep in mind, the doctor does not need to find apportionment to an old injury or a pre-existing condition, but the doctor must address apportionment. If you disagree with the doctor's apportionment, the amount that they found to pre-existing or subsequent conditions, you can dispute that. You can get supplemental reports. You can talk to an attorney about disputing it if the percentage is too high. But that's apportionment in a nutshell. The permanent disability is going to get reduced by any other factors or prior awards that you had for the same body part. If you have other questions, drop us a line down below, or if you like the video, hit the like button.